Good evening. Thank you for showing interest in what we are doing. And we're going to run this for the next 40 minutes. I'll try to keep it as precise as possible, but to the point. And I have my co-host who is trying to help me to log in people as they come through. Allow me to just do a brief of what we did last time. We had a session where we looked at ways of envisioning our future, coming up with our dream, our goals, long-term goals. And for those who do not attend, what we said is that the mind is a very powerful tool. It's able to vision the future. It's able to see the future. And the mind has two ways of seeing the future. One, seeing the process towards the end. And it also helps you to see what you want to achieve at a particular point in time. So one, we called it the process mental imagery, and the other one, outcome mental imagery. Our choice for topic today is taming fear. And as you can see from this young lady here trying to play with a bear, it's just trying to animate how we should be able to manage what we fear most as a people. Allow me to define what fear is. I'll just give us a short story about the past when we used to live in the village. There was no electricity, and I would be sent maybe to go and borrow something like matchbox from a neighbor. Then one of my uncles told us and narrated to us that the Cain of the Bible, Cain and Abel, remember the story? He narrated to us that Cain never actually died, and he moves during the night. So it was very fearful to move in darkness because there are no street lighting like we have today. And I would remember my mother telling me I should not fear because I am a man. And yes, yet I was a young boy. And I was wondering why then was she not telling my sisters not to fear? But today when I unpack this discussion today, I'm able to appreciate where she was coming from. She was not really telling me not to fear. She was telling me to be courageous, because as we'll see, fear is not something that you created. Fear is something that you are created with. It's a natural, yet a very powerful and primitive emotion that we all carry. Fear is meant to protect us from danger. Fear is not meant to harm us. It's actually meant to protect us from danger. When you're driving and you find a serious roadblock or accident ahead, the key thing that goes to your mind is, I'm going to die if I don't brake. So if you ignore that fear, then you're going to make the biggest mistake of your life. So what I'm saying is, fear is natural, and you should allow it to be as natural as possible in your life. However, we're going to learn a few tricks on how to manage that fear. Now, how do we react when we are faced with a fearful situation? There are three ways that each and every person who is born of a woman behaves when you find yourself in a dangerous point. You either engage your flight mode. Flight is running away from the problem, running away from the issue. You don't want to engage. You feel it is going to hurt you, so you run away. That's one way of handling fear, the way we've been created. But then we have also been created with an aspect of fighting fear. So you engage. Yes, there's an enemy coming. You go towards the enemy and fight the enemy. That's another way of handling fear. But we have also some people who freeze. They don't know what to do. You see, for example, a lion, and you don't know whether to run away, whether to go towards it, or whether to scream. There are people who just freeze. So the key thing is, how do we know how to act at each point in time? And this is what, at some point, we'll be able to navigate the aspect of emotional intelligence, knowing how to act, knowing how to engage your mind, your body, your emotional lobe, which we're going to talk about it later, to know how to engage. There are people who are always on fighting mode. When you have an issue at the family level, and you feel you're challenged by your partner or by the other person, the only way you know how to handle your issue is to fight, is to confront. However, there are times you should freeze. There are times you should even flee, depending on whether that particular issue is important to you, and whether it's worth fighting. You don't fight all the battles. So knowing how to behave at each point in time when you're confronted by a threat is actually a very, very important part of life. What do people fear generally? When you look at I tried to pick a few things, a few photos here to represent what people fear. And this actually makes them either to engage going forward or to decide to confront the issue. There are people who fear failure, and most of us are in that category. Most of us don't want failure. You cannot delete fear in your life, but what we're saying is that fear only reduces when you have a backup. So in the biblical sense, the backup here is that God is with you. If you read all the verses that tells people not to fear, because the Bible also says, because I'll be with you. Now in life, if you fear water, then you have to come up with a backup plan so that you overcome that fear. Either you learn how to swim, either you read how swimming happens, or then forever you say, this is not my area. If you fear, for example, losing your life early due to funny diseases, then you have to ask yourself, what is my backup plan? I need to work towards maybe exercising, maybe towards eating healthy and all that. So you need to have a backup plan for you to manage your risk. If you don't come up with a backup to plan your risk, to manage your risk, then you'll always have to fight that fear in your life. I'll give an example of if, for example, you want to be a chef or you want to be a firefighter, you have to learn then how to take care of fire, how to notice where they call it the seat of the fire, how to recognize it and hit it at the earliest, the methods of reducing the impact of fire and all that, so that then that fear doesn't control your emotions. And I want to give you a chance to reflect in your life. What is this that you really fear? What is this that makes you not know how to engage going forward? I will want to tell all of us, even children have fears. When they see, for example, their parents having issues, having quarrels, they fear, they don't know what the future holds. When they see one of the parents lose, for example, a job, don't imagine they're not thinking. They are thinking. So they have their fears too, and they are founded. So what is this that we fear? But I want you to invite you to a new way of looking at things. As you look at what you fear, also look at what you've been able, the small things you've been able to fight in the future, in the past, the few things you've been able to confront successfully. And this actually symbolizes that you have a lot of hidden strength inside you. So when you're free, take 10 minutes of your time, reflect on what you fear. But the key thing, try to go back to the past and ask yourself, what is this fear that I was able to confront in the past? What is this obstacle that was in my life and I was able to fight it? Draw lessons from there and believe in yourself. That's the key thing. Believe that you can, because you have been able to do it before. For those who we were not born doing so many things. We were not born knowing how to read, but we are able to read today. So that's an obstacle. We were not, for those who have been given the opportunity to have all the four limbs walk. We were not born walking. We had to fall, we had to stand, we had, and also so many other analogies that we can bring to this context. Now, what people see, this is an iceberg. When you see yourself behaving or fearing something, or fear manifesting outside to the extent that people can see it, you see, an iceberg is submerged in water. The biggest part is usually under. So when you see some fear manifesting or some fear showing in the outside, to the extent that people are able to say, hey, so and so fears water, so and so fears failure, so and so fears to engage, so and so fears relationships. When you see that happening, it means there is something there's a deep-rooted issue in your life that you have to deal with for you to reduce that aspect of fear that is able to come to the surface of your life. There's a book that I read by McCain from America. It says you have to keep trying and trying and trying to build courage. The book is actually called Courage. Courage to confront what you believe that you can't actually handle. And he says once you do it once, twice, thrice, you move yourself to the status of mastery. Those of us who have who are very good in cooking will tell you the first time they try to cook, they burnt their finger, they cut their fingers and all that. But along the way, because they tried and tried and tried again, they got to a level what we call mastery. And what I'm inviting all of us is to reach to a point where we master how to deal with fear, not to run away from fear. Fear will always be there, and fear is natural. Fear will always be in your life. But then how do you master to deal with fear? Keep on confronting those small challenges that you face until you master them. If it's a subject, for example, that is too hard to handle, then ask yourself, how do I manage topic by topic, increasing my ability to master that particular subject. So some fear is innate. It's just you're born with, and you're able to recognize where danger is. But we have also what is created over time. This is our head, a picture of maybe what I just to demonstrate that. This is our head, our mind. So where we put our past experiences, and this informs you, informs how you actually perceive things in future. Now, fear explained again in terms of the brain. We have two aspects of the brain that engages for you to confront fear. We have the thinking brain, and we have also the emotional brain. The emotional brain is actually at the back. This is a part that is called amygdala.